Hey guys, what's up? My name is Marco. I'm a former professional opera singer, and I love talking about video game music and anime music after spending a decade on the stage from an emotional perspective. Today we're going to be checking out Stardust Crusaders opening. This is part 3, of course. Let's get into it. So this is interesting to me. Loosely, I think that these intros represent different, obviously they represent different JoJo time periods, different personalities, different senses of being. I have to be honest, right away I can already tell that I much prefer Bloody Stream. Though, well, who doesn't, right? It's hard to deny. I mean, Bloody Stream I've also been listening to obsessively over the last couple weeks, so I've probably heard it at least 3 hours straight of Bloody Stream. Not an exaggeration. And Bloody Stream also, I think, is more interesting to me as a piece than even part 1's, which part 1's is very good. You know, Sora, ka-di-da-di-da-da. That's great. Jotaro, even within the first episode and a half, takes no shit, is rude, off-putting. He's not very nice. And I think that that's where the electric guitar works really well in representing that brusqueness. He's just a very direct, aggressive kind of guy. And I think that that really fits his characterization. Let me keep listening. Yeah, it's interesting because even, well, let's look at the lyrics. As now these gathering stardust summon in the awakening of a century-old catastrophe, and all these brave men must face now a race beyond the sands of time with this journey, entangling all like a chain intertwining karma with one's fate shrouded by the platinum. So it's interesting. So obviously lyrics and text and singing and melody have to match. And so what's interesting to me about this particular opening is that it's not very melodic. It's actually kind of jagged. And I think that that works really well because this is talking about how bleak the situation is. If part 1 was like Jonathan finding out what his like spirit and conviction are, part 2 was basically a character display of Joseph and like what it means to be, you know, a person who stands up to their morals and actually like, you know, takes responsibility for their actions. Then part 3 here is a united front around making sure to finally put an end to something that has been going on for hundreds of years, in this case, Dio. Musically, it's not going to be like all pretty. It's going to have bite to it. And in reality, this whole thing, melodically, is pretty jagged. It's actually somewhat even unpleasant upon first listen. But, you know, things can change as you listen to something over and over and over. But let's keep going. Yeah, and it's interesting because we get the image of Dio. And now these gathering stardust summoned in the awakening of a century-old catastrophe. That's when we see Dio on screen. And it's interesting how, like, the catastrophe, we go back up into the pitch as if to say, like, hey, we're re-emphasizing the fact that both Stardust and the century-old catastrophe are both really important. It's pretty cool how basically it's going to be a gathering of heroes to save the day. And also to Daru. Notice that even there, we have a little bit of dissonance. Daddy, as we dip down, as if to say, like, all these brave men must face now a race beyond the sands of time with this journey. It's a big deal, and it's scary, and it probably will mean some death. You know what I mean? I really like that, by the way. That's where we really get the finally we get a bit of melodic emphasis, and I'm not sure if it's the exact right part, but entangling all like a chain, intertwining karma with one's fate shrouded by the platinum. So basically everything comes together, and you know, we're forced to face a destiny that has been laid out, and this path there's no escaping it, you know. Yeah, that's cool. So, I mean, I actually love that part the most, for sure. Let me rewind and talk about it. So it's interesting because in this moment, it's like, okay, well, we need a team because we've tried to kill Dio multiple times. We've tried to put an end to all these different things that have, sort of happened because of Dio's presence. We've put an end to the Pillarmen. We fought Dio in part 1. Like, it seems to me like nothing we do will actually end this. Like, if Dio part 1 was the proof of concept, Dio part 3 is the dangerous reality, right? And so our job is to put an end to that. And the only way to do that is to basically go across time and space, shooting across and beyond. It's time to bend time and space. I'm almost wondering if Jonathan won't just randomly show up. That would be crazy. But anyway, it's about a legacy at this point, which is really cool. Also love the JoJo, because JoJo is the one who can do this. You know what I mean? Like, even I'm really curious about this cast of characters we're going to get as well. But I love that because we also get the double bass drum in there. Stand up, shooting across and beyond. All right now. It's a vigorous bullet. JoJo. It's pretty scary. It's pretty serious. Is JoJo going to be able to do this? We don't know. But we have to hope and believe that we can. There's a little bit of a twinge of hope in that, which is really fun. I love that too. Just a little bit of grit in it. That's fun. And so it's interesting because we start in a totally different way. Here, can JoJo do it? Hell yeah, he can. This is JoJo. Nothing will stop JoJo. After this kind of meandery type of piece, once we arrive at the chorus and then this ending here, that's the music saying, hey, why are you going to worry about JoJo? JoJo? No problem. You know what I mean? And I also think like Jotaro, based on what I've seen so far, is pretty stoic, pretty non-emotional, not really a lot of stuff going on there, where he's not as like on the nose or as open as his predecessors. And so hopefully we get some really interesting character development in part 3. But moreover, I just think it's really interesting to see how different even part 3 is compared to and I think this is also interesting, and it'll await to be seen. Obviously, we have got like 48 episodes to get through. But it seems to me like Jotaro part 3, and JoJo part 2, Joseph, totally different energies. JoJo in part 2 was much more of a sort of like character analysis on Joseph, right? I actually think that this is going to be a much more of a group of heroes rather than JoJo's. JoJo won't be the main focus, but JoJo will be important, obviously. I think it's going to be more of a broader scale, bigger maybe, versus the more of the character piece reflection experiences of the second and first parts, which I'm curious about. Oh shit.
Yeah, さっきぶり貴様何者だ言ったろ歌教員のりやきスタンドの名はハイエロファントグリーン私は人間だがあの方に忠誠を誓っただから貴様を殺す先生を傷つけはしねえぞ取り付くしか芸のなさそうなゲスなスタンドだぜ歌教員これがてめえのスタンドか緑色で筋があってまるで光ったメロンだな削り出したことを後悔することになるぞちょいと締め付けさせてもらうぜ貴様をジジイのところへ連れて行くお前にとても会いたいだろうよ
How did Noriyuki here?
なんだ奴のスタンドの手から緑色の液体が言ったはずだジョジョ後悔することになる妙な動きをするんじゃねえ ドスプラッシュ。どうだね、エメラルドスプラッシュ。貴様のスタンドの胸を貫いた。よって貴様の内臓はズタボロよ。そしてその女医も。
Oh no, she didn't do anything wrong.
お前が悪いのだ、ジョジョ。お前の責任だ。これはジョジョ、お前のせいだ。お前がやったのだ。最初からおとなしく殺されていればこの女医は無傷で済んだものを。だが悲しいかな。
Ooh,
その
listen
行
to that
動を
lower
例える
piano.
な。
That's
ボクサー
real,
の前
like
のサンドバッグ。
that's a wonderful
ただ
tension.
撃たれるだけにのみ
And now it's getting
立ち上
faster.
がったのだ。この空城城太郎はいわゆる不良のレッテルを貼られている。だがこんな俺にも吐き気のする悪はわかる。悪とはてめえ自身のためだけに弱者を利用し踏みつける奴のことだ。ましてや女を。貴様がやったのはそれだ。ああ。
See, this is Jotaro's confidence. Ain't gonna take no shit.
負けた奴が悪なのだ。とどめくらえ。これじゃあやっぱり。何？バカだ。エメラルドスプラッシュを弾き飛ばすとはてめえのことじゃねえか。裁くのは俺のスタンドだ。
Wow, that was amazing.
なんてパワーのスタンドだ。
And so I think what makes that work so well, just as an aside, is the fact that, first of all, it's so cool. So that whole fight sequence is really interesting because you get a wide variety of music pretty quickly. You get this one particular sound, which is, you know, heavy, dark, really twisted, especially because of, you know, hypoxia green, whatever it is. You get exposed to that sort of like slimy, snake-like, you know, nefarious, dangerous, you know, kind of scary sound as the fight progresses, as we like sort of uncover the truth. And then as you progress, when Jotaro ends up deciding to take, you know, responsibility for himself, and like he's like, you know what, screw you, bitch, basically. That's when we get that shift, and that's an amazing sound because ba 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 da da ba 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 da da ba da dee da dee da dee ba ba da doo. So all that sharpness does a great job of like showcasing tension, don't you think? Like it's so exciting to hear that because he's like, so he's got his hands in his pockets. He never like, you know, he's impenetrable and he exudes that confidence. And it's cool to hear the trumpets and the saxophones kind of lean into each other because it's also fun because the track is a pretty fast pace, but it's still kind of slow. And I think partially it's because so the rhythm is moving, but even though the saxophones are rhythmic, it's kind of slow and legato. Like it's not just note. It actually has this like nice flow to it. So it showcases his ability to like not take any shit, basically. It's awesome.
お前を殺しに来たのか。その理由がここにある。
What the fuck?
なんだこいつは。
See, isn't it an amazing sound? So obviously this is that battle theme we heard before. This is an amazing sound. This has a sound of there's a bit of a brightness in that's actually kind of telling. It's like the moment that Jotaro says, nope, not today, sucker. And it's interesting because the sort of build up it's pretty long. And I think intentionally so. That build up is like cracks the knuckles, you know, gets himself ready, and then he's like, what do you think you're doing? you know? And then taking action is those beautiful saxophones there. You get a little bit of that twisted. So it's so subtle. It's so subtle, but listen again without me talking. You see how even the cascade, so I think this is so cool musically. So obviously I'm not as legato as that, but there's a flow in that of confidence, and there's a flow in that of like, you know, really think about it. It's that moment that you just crack your knuckles and you say, I had enough of you, you know, and also there's it's kind of effervescent. There's like a bubbling quality in it. It's just really fun to listen to. I don't know if I find that really very suave and very elegant at the same time. But of course, like with that distortion, there's also this kind of danger. It's so excellent. Ta-da! Up at the top. And then it's cool there because we kick into that rhythm. Those are the hits. Those are the punches. Those are the like the, you know, the the poise, I love it. And again, this isn't like technical crazy theory. Like we're not going into like chord structures and why, because frankly, I don't think that that's particularly interesting. But what I find valuable about this is the fact that like we can get imagery and really connect with emotional music through emotionality and through connecting it through sound, which is really exciting. It's just fun, and the guitar riff in there is really satisfying because that's the edge of danger, and that's why it's not like just like a casual little ballad. But I love how we move through like, you know, like the flowing of the water. You know, shoot, I'm gonna call that the hamon because you know what I mean? Like there's this fluidity in it that's just so lovely, especially when everything else is so rhythmic and so harsh. I'm kind of loving part 2 so far. It's really good. Yeah, that is amazing. We're watching this over on Patreon. Feel free to come check it out, support the channel. Feel free to like, subscribe, and as always, thanks a ton, and I'll see you later.